This is the first RICO-approved social media course in Ontario. The title is Social Media and the New Rules of Branding. And they're talking about why this is real and why basically every company needs to be paying attention and doing something online with respect to social media. And it's not just for the big companies of the world, Ford Motor Company, Procter & Gamble, all these big companies. It's for the ones and twos like us, running our own little businesses. It's for us too. And in fact, the nice thing, it gives us the voice that we can have the same voice online as these big companies do. So in terms of an agenda, this is about 3 hours long in total, but as I mentioned, we will break for lunch at 12:45, so just a little bit over an hour. And we'll talk a little bit about the objectives, talk about some of the online consumer trends, some of the numbers that demonstrate that this is real. I mean, the Harvard Business Review you saw talks about it as well. What is social media marketing? We'll actually talk about what that is. Now, an important part of REBA, the Real Estate and Business Brokers Act of 2002, which we all have to follow, which is law, talks about advertising. And advertising, we have to follow those rules. Okay, but this course is designed specifically for real estate. That's the domain we're in. So we want to talk about how do we use social media in real estate for marketing and advertising. Okay? Two different things. In sales, right? Marketing, sales, and advertising are different. They kind of generally broadly fall under the term marketing, but they're different things. Talk about some consumer online trends, benefit to consumers, how to get started, and then the legal liability. That's the number one burning question we get wherever we go. Okay, so what's the ROI? What's the return on the investment here? Basically 100% of our addressable market in real estate are online. Pretty much 100%. And if it's not 100%, it's approaching 100%. So pretty much everybody that we're doing business with is probably using the internet, right? There are some exceptions. Now we're rounding. But you know, most people are using the internet for researching information. I mean, just look at what we do, right? The first place I go to research anything these days, I go to Google. When I look at the sales funnel, the internet is wonderful from the perspective, it takes that top line of the sales funnel and just makes it as wide as possible. In fact, it's in theory, it's infinitely wide. There could be people out there watching us doing stuff on our sites and interacting with our online messaging that we don't even know who they are, we don't even really know what they're about, and they work their way down that funnel. And I'm very greedy, I don't know about you, but my goal in life is to only talk to people when they're ready to buy or sell. Wouldn't that be nice? The devices are becoming so intuitive and these online tools are so intuitive to use that anybody can use them. So there's not that, you don't have to be a tech person anymore to use this stuff like you used to have to be just a few years ago. So it's really, what is your value proposition? Like, why should people do business with you? That's what you have to answer for yourselves. And if you can answer that, why should people do business with you, then you put in place all the business processes, let's call them that, around how you actually fulfill that and deliver that value proposition. A big one is providing opinions, right? In terms of REBA 2002. We have to demonstrate reasonable knowledge, skill, judgment, and competence. RICO is rightfully so, and I think the boards are probably concerned about this as well, are really concerned about us online expressing opinions. I think it's healthy that we provide opinions. I think people want our opinions. I think that's why people do business with us, because we have opinions and we have experience. I wouldn't shy away from it, but just be cautious that you're following the rules. You know, when you only have 140 characters, right? Twitter, the messages are 140 characters long each. If you only have 140 characters, it's very difficult to provide the context around what you're saying. So therefore, you have to be very careful what you're saying, right? Because if you get 140 characters flashed by your screen and you have no context, if you're a consumer and you look at that and you take action on it, you know, there could be a path back to you legally. So you just have to be careful, be aware of it, right? Think about what you're doing. This is the reality of the laws that we operate in. LinkedIn is sort of business to business, professionals to professionals, if you want to think of it that way. Great place for realtors to be, to connect with everybody that you're doing business with that's working somewhere, right? If they're a professional of some sort, they probably have a LinkedIn profile. Twitter is that real-time news feed, and it's important to use it that way and understand how it works and the perspective of what people want from it. Facebook is here. Facebook is great. There's a lot of traction. You know, over 500 million people, or is it 600 million? I can't even keep counting. 600 now, I think. Yeah, huge. You know, a huge number of people using Facebook. YouTube, we put our video blogs up on YouTube. This is an example of a video blog. So when I do this almost daily, a short little video blog. So let's just do one for fun. Hi, this is George O'Neill. I'm at the second annual Real Estate Marketing Summit in Toronto with a great group of people. We have over 60 people in the room. Hey, waving, that's good. Wave, do the wave. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Great. And we're talking about social media marketing and real estate, and we've got on the screen the big three, and really YouTube is missing here. It's really the big four. If you'd like to learn more about social media marketing, email me at george@o'neillrealestate.ca or leave a comment on this video blog. From Ella's Conference Center in Toronto with a great group of folks for the second annual Social Media Marketing Summit, this is George O'Neill. Okay, so that's a video blog. My corporate website for O'Neill Real Estate is built on WordPress, and I bet if the majority of people went to that, they wouldn't realize it was actually what it was built on. It's a WordPress blog. So, you know, the term blog and website are kind of overlapping. It's more about, are they interactive? Can people dialogue both ways? Can you leave comments? So I wouldn't worry too much about, are people checking out blogs? I think the answer to that is the majority of information is being published on blogs these days. Having a blogging platform or using a content management system like WordPress, Typepad, or Blogger, or some others, you can create content that then people can provide their feedback, and it can be interactive. And it can be multimedia feedback. They can leave you a video of their feedback. You could leave them a video. It could be just textual based. It could be an audio file. It could be a picture. The other perspective from a search engine optimization, or the ability for Google and Yahoo and these other engines to find you, when you create that content, and if you're doing it frequently, it just helps elevate you in the search engine. I think that we're in the perfect industry that you should blog in one form or another, because we are always communicating and sharing information with clients or prospects. And if you create a blog, it creates a permanent record of that knowledge that then you can share. It's a classic question, like, should you have one profile for everything you do, or should you have two distinct profiles? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. It depends on you individually. We use social media for two purposes. One is to get to know potential people that we don't know yet, so to broaden the funnel, right? Or to stay in contact with people we already know. It's one of those two things. I haven't found another reason to use social media from a business context purpose. So social media cannot create your brand, though, okay? But it can reinforce your brand, and even further, it can help destroy your brand, right? If you're not on top of it. You want to monitor your brand. And the tools that are available, Google, for example, you can type in any phrase in Google, and it will report anytime that phrase appears anywhere on the internet that it indexes. So I have it monitor O'Neill Real Estate, and I have it monitor George O'Neill. So anytime that those names pop up anywhere on the internet, it notifies me. And one of the nice things about the internet and social media, as well as one of the bad things, it's good and bad at the same time, is that once you publish something, it's there forever. Effectively, it's there forever. So, you know, when you spend the time putting some information together, it's there. You're associated now, especially if you're the first one to do something, talk about a specific area, talk about a specific property type, talk about maybe some of the changes in the industry, talk about being a buyer brokerage if that's something you want to, you know, interest you, all of those things, and whatever it is that your value proposition says you want to be the best at, you talk about those things early online, you create traction because now that's there forever. That's the good thing. The bad thing, as I mentioned, make sure when you publish it that you're happy with it being there forever, right? So just think twice before you push the send button. The nice thing about the internet and social media is that it does drive transparency. It does, in my opinion, it actually is forcing the world to be more open and honest and communicate more. And I think that's healthy. So going online helps create open and honest communication over time. So the number one point that for all websites that you have or these profiles, put your profile information there so people know who you're doing business with. We're public figures, right? That's the nature of our business. You want people to know who they're doing business with. That's the first element of open and transparent and being trustworthy. So the point is we can bypass traditional media because consumers are bypassing traditional media to get this information, and that creates the opportunity for us. That's the sweet spot here. So people can consume information when they want from whatever sources they want. And it's this concept of inbound marketing. They're coming to you now as opposed to us pushing our message out. We're making our message available, but it's this one-to-many concept. We're publishing it, but we're not sort of emailing it out to 1,000 people. We're publishing it, and they're coming to us when they want, in the middle of their night, whenever, looking at it, and it's there forever. And if it's good and relevant, it will get traction, and they will eventually call us. It does take time. It does take persistence. And you have to be true to your brand. But certainly join Facebook today, and if you're intrigued by Twitter, play around with it and do it. Make sure you fill out your profiles. Become friends with people you already know or you may be interested in getting to know, okay? Start a free blog. I would do it at WordPress, but I would go to the service providers in the room if you're not so inclined. This is for people that are willing to do everything themselves. Understand your brand before you do any of this stuff. Make sure you're using your own domain, not Trebnet, not WordPress.com, not some of these other guys. Sync offline and online strategies. We still knock on doors. People say, well, look, you're the tech guy. You got whatever, 14,000 people on Twitter. You do YouTube. What are you doing knocking on doors? Well, you know what? It's a very much face-to-face people business. When we have a few minutes, we knock on doors. Our stats on knocking on doors, 1 door in 100, we get a listing. If we want to put in the work, we'll get a listing. Right? So it's complementary. Everything we're doing is complementary to what we do in the offline world. In fact, there's a whole trend now where meetups, it's kind of sexy now to have a meetup in person. Because a lot of these meetups were done on webinars and online. It's people saying, oh, well, now let's get back to basics. Well, why did we forget basics? Like people go walk in and out of houses every day. We show clients it's a very personal business. Why are we even forgetting the basics? We've got to ask ourselves. So I'm not advocating do everything online and forget basics. What I'm saying is whatever you're doing in the offline world, couple it and make sure your brand is consistent online as well. And going forward in the way the business is being done, it needs to be in conjunction with each other. Okay? Online marketing digital marketing is to increase the breadth of that funnel, and we're trying to bring them down the funnel. Bringing down that funnel still involves some of the traditional methods. Right? It's very much a people business, right? Just jump in and try it. See what other people are doing.